Right now on Get Up DC, we are following major breaking news near Reagan National Airport. As we take a live look here, hundreds of first responders have been assisting overnight in rescue efforts after a passenger jet crashed into the Potomac River late last night. It was a midair collision with a Black Hawk. As we continue to take a look here at the massive response.
In fact, that plane it went down after colliding midair again with an Army Black Hawk helicopter out of Fort Belvoir on a training mission. Take a look at the video from EarthCam there. That is the moment that the two aircraft make contact. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Allison Seymour.
I'm Annie Yu.
And I'm Wisdom Martin. Here's what we know so far. The plane was coming from Wichita, Kansas, and operated by American Airlines. The collision happened as the plane was trying to land at the airport. According to AP News, the helicopter was conducting a training flight. We're told 60 passengers and 4 crew were on board when the plane went down.
Now, within the last hour, we learned that several members from the U.S. figure skating team had been on that plane. The organization says athletes, coaches, and also family members were all returning home from a figure skating championship that was held in Wichita. Also, CBS News reporting that at least 18 bodies have been pulled from the water. Let's give you another look at some of the images here that we have been sharing since this happened. Of course, our crews, we've got full team coverage for you starting as late as last night. Here we are at 4:27, but this unfolded at 8:47 last night when the collision happened, and we will have team coverage coming up all morning long.
We're also hearing that there were members of the Russian gymnastics team on board as well. So still waiting to figure out everyone who was on that flight, that American Eagle flight, that regional plane, right? Basically not as big as some of the ones that we are familiar with.
So the CEO said it was flight number 5342, who said it was an American Eagle subsidiary.
Right.
Yeah, that was flying.
Well, we have team coverage for you, of course, all morning long on this huge breaking story. These details are still coming in this morning, and we're waiting for another press conference. We heard from Mayor Bowser, who spoke a few hours ago with the first responders. We're waiting until 7:30. That's when we'll get another update.
Our Jacqueline Quinn, she is live near where the rescue crews are situated, working to recover and search for victims. Jackie, what's the latest at this hour?
You know what? I can still see patrol units coming into this area, or law enforcement cars, really. But yeah, we're about 3 miles away from where this crash happened near Reagan Airport, and it's a massive response. I'll point out some of the areas that we can see here, right? You know, to the right here of me is where the boats have been coming in, and we counted maybe about 5 boats coming in and out of this area. That was essentially to look for some of the victims. Now, as we move and further pan to this direction, you can see a lot of the lights here. We know there's a mass casualty, a bus here potentially to take a lot of people to the hospital, I think, or it can also be used to help some of the first responders here in this case. And then all the way, if you pan over here to the tents, that's the decontamination tent. You got to think about all the divers going into the water right now. A lot of debris along with the jet fuel. And if you heard from the conference earlier, Chief John Donnelly with DC Fire says this happened at 8:48. That was hours ago. And think about the conditions of the water. We know that it's very cold this time of the year. It's been icy because of the storms recently. And they said it was extremely rough. Now, I'll also talk about just all the multiple agencies out here: Airport Fire, the DC Fire Department, DC Police, of course, Park Service. About 300 responders from what we heard from that press conference earlier, and they're requesting more agencies, state and federal agencies. So CBS News, they have reported that we've learned that 18 bodies have been recovered. And we have spoken to, at the airport, some of the people who are waiting to find out what happened to their friends, family members, loved ones. But I'll also tell you that right now we did hear from the U.S. Figure Skating Organization. They have confirmed that there were members of their organization on board. They said that sadly aboard American Airlines Flight 5342, which collided with a helicopter yesterday evening in Washington, D.C., that there were several members of their skating community. They were athletes, coaches, and family members returning home from the National Development Camp held in conjunction with the U.S. Figure Skating Championships in Wichita, Kansas. They're devastated by this unspeakable tragedy. And as we mentioned earlier, President Trump is aware of this. I believe he has issued a statement on this. And there is also a number, because we know that a lot of people just hearing about this are concerned whether their family members are okay or if they were involved. So that number, hopefully that is on the screen, but it is 1-800-679-8215. There's also been a lounge set up at DCA for some of the friends and families that are right now trying to find out what has happened to potentially somebody that was on board. Now, also for the airport, we know that these flights are being diverted. There are no flights coming in right now because of the operations. We understand that that would complicate this mission that they have right now. Potentially this could open up at 11 a.m., but we're going to find out more at this presser that's coming up here later this morning. For now, I'll send it back to you guys.
All right. Thank you very much, Jacqueline Quinn, for that report. Right now, we want to take you back inside Reagan National Airport, and that's where Marcella Robertson is standing by with the very latest in this story. We know right now that flights in and out of the airport are paused until at least 11 this morning. Marcella, how are things looking right now?
Yeah, well, Wisdom, I can tell you that we are inside Terminal 1 here at Reagan National Airport. Very quiet. It really is just a lot of media situated out here right now. I can tell you that we have seen some TSA agents come in. There are some airline workers at the counters coming in for their shift again, but nothing is expected to come in and out of here at Reagan National until at least 11 o'clock this morning, because those search and rescue efforts are still underway. Of course, that is subject to change, so we'll, of course, keep you updated with the very latest. As we've been mentioning, that next briefing from officials coming at 7:30 this morning. I do want to mention that all of the boards throughout the entire airport, where you would typically see arrival and departure information, they all have an emergency message up right now, letting people know exactly what is going on and letting passengers know that they should be reaching out to their airlines for the latest information. I do want to set the scene a little bit more for you, because driving up to the airport this morning, we know that if you've traveled out of this airport, it is busy no matter what time of day, even early on. And it really was kind of surreal driving up here, because it was incredibly quiet. All of the roads and entrances to the airport were blocked off. No traffic in the airport. You have empty terminals and really just some passengers, coming off of their flights, waiting to be picked up, and others that are just waiting for answers here this morning. So it really gives you the scope of this rescue effort, the scope of this tragedy that we are dealing with, and of course everything here at the airport is still shut down because of this tragedy. I do want to mention that of course we're talking about this collision, this mid-air collision with this regional jet military helicopter. At the time, there were other flights in the air. We know how busy this is part of the the air is in our area. 19 other flights, they were diverted to Dulles Airport and landed there. Others were able to land here at Reagan, and they saw the collision happen. Weren't really sure exactly what it was at first, but really is just hard to believe and hard to wrap their minds around when they realized what it was. Take a listen.
It looked like a flash of fire, and we didn't understand what was happening. The person sitting next to me just said, "What's that?" And the next thing we started seeing ambulance, started seeing firefighters, everybody just rushing, and the whole place was...
And the police car too.
Yes.
So, very difficult for people who witnessed this. Passengers on other flights who realize how close they could have been to this situation as well. Of course, it's extremely difficult, very sensitive situation right now for the families who are still waiting for answers. Many of them are in another part of the airport right now as they await for answers. And then obviously very difficult for the first responders that are having to deal with really dangerous conditions right now. It is very cold outside. It is windy. We have had bitter cold temperatures for weeks here, despite having 55 degrees or something of that nature yesterday. It is still very cold. The water temperature is cold. They're still dealing with snow and ice on the ground as well. And so, think about the conditions that they are in right now as divers are in the water, still trying and hoping to find some survivors. Again, very important, if you do have a flight out of Reagan, important to check in with your airlines, because at this point, 11 o'clock this morning is the very earliest that we could see anything come in and out of this airport. But just a very tragic situation as we really try to wrap our mind around this. I mean, we've all been there, we've flown, we have picked up loved ones at the airport, and you certainly never expect it to end like this. Back to you.
unimaginable in a word. And Marcella, thank you so much. When you do think about the other planes that were in the air, and surely seeing this and the fear of the uncertain is just mind-boggling, actually.
Yeah, and you hear from the witnesses as well. At the time, of course, you don't have any idea what is happening, what they're seeing in the sky. You just see these big aircrafts colliding and going down to the Potomac River below. But now we know what happened, and we have some answers, but clearly still many answers in this long investigation road ahead.
Right. We get another update, as we mentioned, coming up at 7:30, so just under 3 hours from now, from Mayor Bowser and the rest of the officials that are gathered there answering to this really unspeakable tragedy. Also, we're starting to learn more this morning about how air officials responded to this collision.
And we know the emergency response began around 9 p.m. Our chief investigative reporter, Eric Flack, joining us now. Flack, thank you so much. I know you've been here overnight since this happened, and you've got some information about the air traffic control audio.
Yeah, I mean, really just so many different layers to what happened. I mean, this is a website called Flight Radar 24. It uses data from aircraft to track their movements. You can see how busy this Ronald Reagan National Airport is. All those icons there in yellow representing airplanes. And then this is that fateful American Airlines flight 5342 that was just so close to landing there at the airport when this collision happened. We have some audio that came in overnight that shows just how traumatic it was and how desperate it was inside air traffic control as that collision happened.
American 472 Washington, 1 star, 32017.
Oh my God. The stunned words of someone in the background of air traffic control audio recorded as American Airlines Flight 5342 collides with a military helicopter, sending both aircraft and almost 70 people into the Potomac River.
I just saw a fireball and then it was just gone. So I haven't seen anything since they hit the river, but it was a CRJ and a helicopter that hit. I would say maybe a half mile off the approach end of 33.
Is the airfield closed?
Yes, the airfield is closed. The airfield is closed.
Runways as well?
Yes, all runways are closed. Nobody's landing. No one's moving at all.
Ian Pachetnik is Director of Communications at Flight Radar 24, a global flight tracking service. We're already hearing from family members who are right there at the airport waiting for their loved ones. From the data, how close was this commercial airliner to landing?
The aircraft was seconds from landing. So the collision happened at approximately 300 feet. So this is seconds from landing as they crossed the Potomac, and the runway threshold is at the river's edge. So the aircraft is very close to landing. It was on final approach. It was lined up with runway 33, and it was ready to touch down.
And yet just seconds from landing, something catastrophic happened. How?
That's a great question, and one that investigators will be looking to answer. We know that the two aircraft collided. The main question then becomes, why did they come into contact? Why were they that close together? And then, as with all safety and air accident investigations, the main goal of the accident investigation is to prevent this from ever happening again.
Just seconds from landing, what does a family member who has a loved one involved in this incident even do with that information just seconds from making it down safely onto that runway? Guys, this was the flight path from Wichita, Kansas to Washington, D.C. A senator from Kansas overnight made the comment that he lobbied American to get this direct flight added from Wichita. It only happened about a year ago, which kind of raises the question, was it caught up in that controversy over adding flights to DCA, which extended a debate which extended through much of 2024 because of the many near misses that have happened at DCA. In those cases, the collision in midair did not happen. In this case, it did. We can confirm, though, that this was not part of that 2024 debate and not one of the flights that has been added to an already very busy Washington Reagan National Airport, guys.
Seconds from landing. I thought the same thing. Would you rather not even know that at that point? So, Eric, thank you so much. What great insight there from that gentleman to try to figure out what could have happened here.